Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or Sayobona as we say in Zulu. Welcome to our city tour of Pretoria. My name is Jeanne DS Final, and I'm delighted to be your guide today as we embark on this unforgettable journey through the heart of our vibrant city, Pretoria. Before we delve into the rich history and culture of the sites awaiting us, let me share something interesting about myself. As a dedicated urban explorer, I've traversed every nook and cranny of this city. I was once a student at Pretoria University, so I've uncovered hidden gems and intriguing stories along the way. From its iconic jacaranda streets, which burst into a sea of purple blooms during the springtime, to its stately colonial architecture and diverse communities, I've developed a deep passion for sharing the wonders of our city with fellow adventurers like yourselves. So please sit back, relax, and get ready for an immersive experience filled with excitement, laughter, and a few surprises along the way. Whether you are a history buff, a culture enthusiast, or simply curious souls eager to explore, I promise I will not disappoint you. Let us make memories together as we embark on this extraordinary journey through our magnificent city. Before we set off on our exploration of Pretoria, allow me to introduce our esteemed driver for today's journey. Meet Stephen, the driving force behind our safe and comfortable travels through the bustling streets. Stephen is more than just a skilled navigator of the roads. He is also a passionate storyteller with a wealth of knowledge about Pretoria's hidden gems and lesser-known secrets. With years of experience behind the wheel, Stephen not only ensures our smooth journey, but also enriches our adventure with fascinating anecdotes and insider insights. Feel free to speak to him at any time while we are stationary at our stop. Before we embark on our adventure, I would also like to provide a quick overview of our comfortable and spacious coach. Our coach is designed with full comfort in mind, featuring plush reclining seats and ample legroom. I'm sure you're all seated comfortably and feel free to change seats during our tour. There's also a clean and well-maintained restroom, so no need to worry about rest stops during the tour. Keep your belongings safe and secure with ample storage space available on board. Whether it's luggage, bags, or souvenirs, there's plenty of room for everything you need. Our coach is also stocked with complimentary water to keep you energized and hydrated. Please help yourself at any time. We also strive to accommodate our passengers' needs, so if you require any assistance or have any special requirements, please do not hesitate to let me know. To enhance your experience, our coach is equipped with modern amenities, including onboard Wi-Fi, a TV screen, and passenger address system. Throughout our tour, I will provide commentary and insights to ensure that we do not miss a moment. Stay comfortable in any weather with our climate control system, and please ensure that the windows are closed at all times. For your safety, buckle up whilst the vehicle is in transit, and remember emergency exits are strategically located through the vehicles, providing quick and easy access in case of evacuation. Please familiarize yourself with the closest emergency exit to your seat. Our coaches undergo regular services and the coach meets the latest emissions standards. We have a fully stocked first aid kit and fire extinguishers on board. We also have emergency communication devices in case of an emergency. Please note that there are some rules and regulations that we'd like you to adhere to. No smoking rule, so please remember this includes electronic cigarettes and vaping devices. Obviously, no consumption of alcohol is permitted, and please do not stand while the coach is moving. Remain seated until the coach comes to a complete stop. Help us keep our coach clean and tidy by disposing of trash in the provided bins or plastic bags. Do not leave any garbage or belongings behind when disembarking. Whilst we take every precaution to ensure the safety of your belongings, we are not responsible for any lost or stolen items. So please keep your belongings secure at all times. Please also adhere to the rules and regulations that apply to any of the sites that we visit. Feel free to snap away and document your experience. However, remember to be respectful of local customs and regulations. So now a little bit of a briefing about our tour. We will start at OR Tambo and we will trace a path through Fountain Circle at the Groenkruis Nature Reserve, the Voortrekker Monument and Pretoria Central Prison. Our route will then lead us to the Kruger House and various other historical buildings and intriguing sites. Finally, we will drop you off at the Rovos Rail, rounding off an unforgettable exploration of Pretoria's rich history and natural splendor. The tour will be approximately 2.5 hours long and includes a stop at the Ditsong Kruger Museum. We'll be traveling past a number of areas that will provide an ideal photo opportunity. Enjoy the scenery and take some time to capture some beautiful photographs. Do not forget to capture your experience, as this will be an experience never to be repeated. We will now depart from OR Tambo to Pretoria. Once again, we'll welcome you to this vibrant heart of South Africa's administration capital. Nestled amongst the picturesque landscape, Pretoria beckons with its rich history, cultural diversity, and natural beauty. From iconic landmarks with the likes of Voortrekker Monument and the Kruger House to its lush parks and bustling streets, Pretoria offers captivating tapestry of experiences waiting to be explored. Dating back to 1855, the name of Pretoria is derived from the Afrikaans folk hero Andries Pretorius, who defeated thousands of Zulu warriors at the Battle of Blood River in present-day KwaZulu-Natal province. Pretoria has an integrated public transport network system and maintains roads infrastructure for the Tshwane communities. Tshwane is the new name for Pretoria and its surrounds. It has an altitude of approximately 1,399 meters above sea level and has an average daily temperature of 18 degrees centigrade and a population of approximately 2.5 million, of which Pretoria has the largest white population in South Africa. It has a monsoon-influenced humid subtropical climate with long, hot, rainy summers and short, dry, mild winters. The city experiences the typical winters of South Africa with cold, clear nights and mild to moderately warm days. Known as the Jacaranda City, they've created the Jacaranda Festival, which takes place in October each year, not to mention the international rugby competitions held at Loftusveld and the cricket at Centurion, also known as Supersport Park. We now commence on the N1 Pretoria national route in South Africa that runs from Cape Town through Bloemfontein, Johannesburg, Pretoria and Polokwane to Bate River on the border with Zimbabwe. It forms the first section of the famed Cape to Cairo Road and is commonly known as the Ben Schoeman Highway. Ben Schoeman was a prominent politician of the Nationalist Party during the apartheid era. The R21 is the major north-south provincial route or freeways linking Johannesburg to Pretoria and was built in the 1970s. It is also known as the Albertina Sisulu Freeway. Mama Albertina Sisulu was a political activist, nurse and community activist, and one of the highest profile leaders of the anti-apartheid resistance in South Africa. She was married to Walter Sisulu, an activist and member of the African National Party. Whilst both the N1 and R21 connect Pretoria and Johannesburg, Only the R21 connects Pretoria directly to OR Tambo Airport. We are now approaching an area called Waterkloof Ridge, oftenly known in Afrikaans as Waterkloof Rif, which is a residential suburb of the city of Pretoria. It was originally called Highlands. Waterkloof Ridge is located south of the Waterkloof in a leafy area that contains some of the city's most expensive real estate. We also now have Waterkloof Air Base on the left. The name means water ravine in Afrikaans, which is our second official language, and Dutch. Despite the name, the base is not located in the suburban town of Waterkloof. Pretoria lies south of Pretoria. It is the air base of the South African Air Force, and it is the busiest air base in South Africa. We also have Centurion on the left, and this is thanks to many residential estates and amenities. Centurion is a chic cosmopolitan area in parts and home to rural vibes and a country ambience in other parts. Centurion played a significant role in both the First and Second Anglo-Boer Wars. The area was previously known as Verwoerdburg. Centurion is probably best known for its mall, one of the largest shopping centres in South Africa, with over 200 stores and restaurants. The name Centurion was chosen by residents in 1995, without the option to retain the existing name, soon after to end the end of apartheid, and to match the name of Centurion Park, which is now called Super Sport Park, which is a cricket stadium in the area. On the right-hand side, you will see the remains of the Etoll Gantry, which form part of the Gauteng Freeway Improvement Project. SANRail, also known as the South African National Roads Agency Limited, implemented a form of road pricing in December 2013 to help recuperate the costs of the road construction and maintenance. However, the system was aborted on the 11th of April in 2024 due to pressure from many civil organizations. But the R21 remains a toll-free route. On the right-hand side, after we've passed the gantry, we once again experience Waterkloof Ridge. It is named after the original farm that stood there when Pretoria was founded in the 19th century. Waterkloof includes hilltop homesteads on Edward and Victoria Streets with beautiful views of Pretoria. We are now approaching the Solomon Mshlangu Drive or M10 exit. This off-ramp is also known as Solomon Mshlangu Drive, which will take you to the Waterkloof Air Base on the west side and Centurion on the east. It was formerly known as Hans-Stradom Drive. Solomon Mshlangu was a South African activist and a freedom fighter and operative of the National Congress militant wing, Umkhonto weSizwe. He was convicted of murder and hanged in 1979. Many other roads and buildings in South Africa have been named after him to commemorate his life. On the right-hand side, we now have the Ratcliffe Observatory, which is the astronomical observatory for Oxford University in the United Kingdom. This observatory was set up in the 1920s because of the viewing conditions, weather, urban development, and the light pollution at Oxford itself. Eventually, the site in Pretoria also became untenable, and the facility was combined with others into the South African Astronomical Observatory in the 1970s. Ratcliffe Observatory was the largest telescope at that time in South Africa. It is now located in the Sutherland area of the Cape with other SKA telescopes. On the left-hand side, we have just passed Monument Park extension turnoff, and this is the location of the Groenkloof Nature Reserve, which is on the right-hand side. and it is also located near the famous Fountains Valley. This valley on the southern outskirts of Pretoria was proclaimed as a game sanctuary by President Paul Kruger on the 25th of February 1895 and is the first in Africa. Its main purpose was to protect the shy and timid oribi that were found there and other game that were being wiped out by hunters. Currently, there's been a big cleanup operation run to restore the original woody bush of the area. Wildlife on the reserve includes zebra, jackal, duiker, kudu, impala, blue wildebeest, red hartebeest, etc. And the rich bird life will keep bird lovers busy for hours. There's also hiking, horse and vehicle trails, as well as a beautiful picnic spot. The Natural Heritage Monument is located within this reserve. This is a group of copper statues representing anti-apartheid activists, Zulu chiefs and missionaries. The monument is meant to reflect the struggle of liberation going back to the 1600s. There's a total of 400 to 500 statues which are being planned at the moment, and when complete, the monument will be called the Long March to Freedom. Ahead is also the Flying Saucer Interchange, which serves as a critical transportation hub, facilitating the efficient low flow of traffic between intersections N1 and N4 highways. It allows vehicles to transition smoothly between the major routes, reducing congestion and improving overall traffic efficiency. On the right-hand side, in front of us on the hill, is the Klapperkop Nature Reserve. This is a reserve of 460 hectares, which was established in 1898. It is managed by the Department of Nature Conservation, and for Klapperkop, completed in 1897, is situated inside the reserve. The reserve is named for the prominent Klapperkop, a hill, or koppie as we would say in Afrikaans, vegetated with klapper trees on its northern slopes. This was the third fort erected before the outbreak of the Anglo-Boer War to protect the capital of Pretoria. The fort has been restored to its original state and arranged as a museum, with permanent exhibitions of Anglo-Boer War objects and furniture. It is one of the best examples of the 19th century weaponry defenses in the world. Apart from the museum, the fort also houses a stable complex, picnic areas, an old steam locomotive which was used during the Anglo-Boer War, the last tram also used in Pretoria, and a commemorative war statue, the Troopie statue dedicated to those who gave their lives serving in the South African Defence Force. Waterkloof Golf Course, home to lots of professionals and amateur golfers, is situated in the heart of the Waterkloof Estates. The Arpies River that flows through the course is a source that's located just south of the city, and it flows northward until it drains into the Penars River. The word Arpies is Afrikaans for small monkeys and is reference to the historical abundance of vervet monkeys on the Arpies River bank. In front of us is Makkelneuk, which lies to the south of Sunnyside and it accommodates grand houses and apartment buildings, edgy leafy streets amongst posh hotels, embassies, and some buildings that are part of the nearby University of South Africa. Charming Magnolia Dell Park has a lake, a tea house, and a restaurant, which is a popular spot for picnics and arts and crafts markets. Some medical centres are also scattered through this district. Remember that Fountain Circle is one of the most well-known entrances to the south of Pretoria. We also have Fort Klapperklip viewpoint of Johann Strissig Street, which has breathtaking views of Pretoria, and lots of mountain biking and hiking take place using this rough terrain. Ahead of us as well is the Silverkop and Freedom Park. The area where Silverkop is located was originally inhabited by the Ndebele people and came to be known as the Transvaal, where in 1855 Pretoria was proclaimed as the capital. This is a historical and involving neighborhood known for its rich heritage and characterized by its diverse architecture, including a mixture of residential, commercial, and industrial buildings. The little-known neighborhood has turned into an obscure community plagued by unemployment, poverty, and overcrowding and alcoholism. This area is known as Freedom Park and is a memorial complex dedicated to the country's struggle for freedom and the South African National Museum of Military History, as well as the state-of-the-art 1.4 billion statistics South African headquarters. The hill in the area in the front of us also accommodates UNISA, or the University of South Africa, which is widely recognized as a leading comprehensive open distance and e-learning university. It was established in 1873 as the University of the Cape of Good Hope. The university has more than 400,000 students, including students from 130 countries worldwide, and making it one of the most mega universities and only such universities in South Africa. Notably, South Africans among its alumni include 2 Nobel Prize winners, Nelson Mandela, the first democratically elected president of South Africa, and of course our famous Archbishop Desmond Tutu. The tower on the right-hand side is known as the Lucas Brunt Tower, formerly known as the John Foster Tower, which is located on the Makkelneuk Hill in the Lucas Rand suburb. The tower was built in 1978 and its primary source is wireless communications, microwave transmission, mobile phones, etc. It also features an observation deck. The tower is dressed with branding signs for Telkom SA. For a time, September 2009 to prior August 2012, the tower also supported a 24-meter, 8-story high fiberglass soccer ball to commemorate the 2010 World Cup soccer. We are now approaching Fountain Circle with the city in the distance. On the left, over here we have the Fountains Valley, which is a recreational resort and has been proclaimed as a nature reserve by Paul Kruger. The Oppies River also flows through this resort. The Fountain Circle serves as a welcoming point for visitors to the city, and the new design serves as a celebration, as I said once again, for the 2010 FIFA World Cup. The original fountains were established to celebrate the centenary celebration of the city in 1955. Skanskop is also ahead of us, which after the abortive Jameson raid, which I'm sure you've all read about, the government of the ZAR became concerned about the safety of the capital city Pretoria, both from foreign invasion as well as from the growing number of Uitlanders, or foreigners as we call them, on the Witwatersrand. So consequently, a defense plan for Pretoria was drawn up, and due to money restraints, only 4 forts were built. Fort Skanskop, Fort Wonderboompoort, and Fort Klapperkop are all pentagonal reinforcement and with the most modern structures of their time, and modern mediums of communication such as telephones were used to equip the telegraph room. Fort Skanskop is a Gauteng provincial heritage site as well as a provincial heritage site. The fort forms as thousands of music fans gather there for an outdoor festival at the end of each month. We also have the Groenkloof Nature Reserve, located adjacent to the Fountains Valley, which was the first game sanctuary in Africa, as I mentioned before, and was proclaimed a game sanctuary by President Kruger. It is flanked by Christina de Wet Avenue and Nelson Mandela Drive that separates it from the Fur Tracker Monument and the Klapper Kop Nature Reserve. We are now also heading over the bridge over the Arpies River. This is also known as Leeuwbrug or Lion Bridge, which is also known now as the Arcadia Bridge, and it is the oldest existing bridge over the Arpies River and the only remaining bridge in the centre of Pretoria, dating back from the old days of South Africa. We have the entrance to Fountains Valley and the Long March to Freedom on the left, and this, as I said before, is a recreational resort at the southern entrance of Pretoria. The Long March to Freedom has moved now to Marapeng, unfortunately, but it is to give it more exposure in the correct area. They felt that obviously the Fountains area wasn't giving it justice. We are now heading under the bridge of the Christian de Wet onto the M18, and this is the remaining of a NZA-SM bridge which was built over the Arpies River in the Elands Gateway in 1893. NZA-SM means Nederlandse Suid-Afrikaanse Spoorweg Maatskappy. It's the Dutch name and was built and managed. It was built and managed a railway network for the South Afrikaanse Republiek from 1887 to 1899. The bridge was from Pretoria, the first important bridge on approximately 500-kilometer railway line to Lorenzo Marques, now known as Maputo, in Mozambique. A new structure was built with the advent of the expansion of the highway and the introduction of the Gautrain, which I will touch on a little bit later. Overhead is the main railway line connecting Johannesburg, Pretoria, and ultimately Maputo in Mozambique. The main section, Pretoria-Maputo Railway, is also called the Delagoa Bay Railway, Iron Railway, and Eastern Railway, which is 567 kilometers long and approximately 1067 millimeters in breadth. As we now turn off onto the N14 toll road, this becomes now the Ben Schoeman Highway. The Ben Schoeman Freeway or Ben Schoeman Highway is the main freeway between Johannesburg and Pretoria and consists of portions M1, N1 and N14. We also have the Gautrain ahead of us, and this is an 18-kilometer or 50-mile highest speed express commuter railway system which links Johannesburg, Pretoria, Kempton Park and OR Tambo Airport. You are obviously from London and have the biggest network underground system, which is truly efficient, and hopefully one day we will grow our Gautrain system to be yours. It also only takes 15 minutes to travel from Sandton to OR Tambo International Airport on the Gautrain and 35 minutes from Pretoria in the Tshwane to Park Station, Johannesburg. The Gautrain has 10 stations. It also has bus shuttles and mini services are also available to transport passengers to and from all stations, excluding the OR Tambo International Airport station. As we come up on the hill towards us, we now have Proclamation Hill, the Fur Tracker Monument, and Fort Spanjkop. The Fur Tracker Monument is a large granite structure and was raised to commemorate the fur trackers who left the Cape Colony between 1835 and 1854. Every aspect of the monument symbolizes and honors the fur trackers who embarked on this treacherous journey. At this moment in time, I would really suggest that if you have time to ever come back, is to explore the Fur Tracker Monument. It offers an immense history of how our country was founded by the fur trackers. And it truly does give you a very, very enriched outlook on how our country was discovered. We also now have the Garden of Remembrance at the Fur Tracker Monument, which is a serene, symbolic area dedicated to commemorating the fur trackers, which, as I said before, are the pioneers who migrated from the Cape Colony to the interior. The garden features manicured lawns and indigenous plants, as well as highlighting the historical journey and the legacy of the fur trackers. So don't forget to come back to visit this site. We also, on the left, have the military hospital complex, which is part of the South African Military Health Services and provides healthcare services to members of the South African National Defence Force and their families. It is situated in Thaba Tshwane and offers a wide range of medical services. The hospital also serves as a training ground for military medical personnel and is involved in various medical research initiatives. It plays a crucial role in maintaining the health and readiness of the country's armed forces. We also have the Steve Biko Academic Hospital, which is based in the South African military base area, and this area is a significant administrative and strategic hub for military operations within our country. The area is centrally positioned, offering convenient access to various governmental and defense-related institutions. The National Department of Health, or the old Exaro building, is also here to improve health state through the prevention of illness, disease, and the promotion of healthy lifestyles, and to consistently improve the healthcare and delivery system, focusing on access, equity, efficiency, quality, and sustainability. Escor, with its first works in Pretoria, was built and was established as a state company in terms of the iron and steel industry. The objectives of establishing this company were to produce iron and a range of steel products and to create employment opportunities. However, in November 2016, the mining company Kumba Resources Limited unbundled, and Kumba's coal and other assets moved with Isizwe Coal to create Exaro Resources Limited. Exaro has since grown to become one of the largest black empowered and diversified mining companies in South Africa. Exaro also means powering a clean world. Now the off-ramp splits with Fur Tracker Road that takes you back to the military area. The R01 continues back to Johannesburg via Midrand on the old Johannesburg Road. We also now have the SAPS Radio Technical Unit on the right, which is a unit specialized division responsible for the maintenance, management, and development of the police radio communications across South Africa. They also handle the technical aspects of any radio frequency management. Once again, we see the Lucas Rand Tower, formerly known as the John Foster Tower, which is located on the Makkelneuk Hill in the Lucas Rand suburb. As you can see now, we have a whole line of fever trees. Fever trees is an attractive semi-deciduous tree, approximately 15 to 25 meters tall and 10 meters wide. It is open-rounded to the spreading of flattish crown, which is sparsely foliated. If the powdery surface is rubbed away with a finger, it reveals green bark beneath. The fever tree is also known for its ability to survive in harsh and unforgiving landscapes, and becomes a symbol of strength and resilience to all of us in South Africa. It reminds us that even in the most challenging circumstances, there is still beauty to be found. The leaves and pods are used to provide food for livestock, while the young branches and foliage are eaten by African elephants, while giraffe and vervet monkeys eat the pods and leaves. Fever bark is the bark of the Elstonia tree. People use it to make medicine. Despite serious safety concerns, fever bark is used for fever, high blood pressure, diarrhea, joint pain, and believe it or not, rheumatism and malaria. It is also used as a stimulant. Now we have Pretoria Central Prison, also known as the Khosi Mampuru No. 2 Management Area, named after the king who was executed by the apartheid regime. It is a large prison complex that includes different sections for male and female inmates, as well as a maximum, medium, and minimum security facilities. The prison is historically known for its role during the apartheid era and was the site of executions and held many prisoners, including anti-apartheid activists. Not something that we like to remember, but it does form part of our history. Nelson Mandela was held at this prison twice during his incarceration, and both times he was awaiting trial. The gallows is now a museum in honor of the lives of those that were taken there, and is also known as the Gallows Memorial Museum within this maximum prison. It still features the original gallows and cells and other artifacts related to the executions. The prisoners' names are on the walls and the ropes and have been rehung over the painted wooden door trap. We now approach Skippoort Avenue and Salverkop. We also now are taking the off-ramp to the South African Air Force headquarters. The South African Air Force was established in 1920, and the Air Force saw service during the Second World War and the Korean War. From 1966, the South African Air Force was involved in providing infantry support in the low-intensity border area in Angola, Southwest Africa, and Rhodesia, which is now known as Zimbabwe. The South African military headquarters also exists today. It was created in 1994, following South Africa's first non-racial election, and it adopted the new constitution. It replaced the South African Defence Force and integrated Umkhonto and Sizwe, or the MK, and the Azanian People's Liberation Army during the guerrilla forces. Artillery Street. This is very interesting, as this was built during the 19th century by the government of the old South African Republic as homes for officers and non-commissioned officers of the state artillery forces. These houses form a unique architectural and military historical complex. We also now have come across the railway bridge with a coat of arms, and these are the old outdated coat of arms. In the arms is the Pretoria Civic coat of arms. We are also now turning off to Sunnyside onto the Jeff Masemola Street, approaching Melrose House and the South African Post Office headquarters. Jeff Masemola was a South African anti-apartheid activist, teacher and founder of the armed wing of the Pan-African Congress. In 1962, Masemola was arrested and convicted on the charge of smuggling individuals out of the country. He was also too imprisoned with Nelson Mandela on Robben Island. We also now have the Tshwane Mail Centre on the right, which is the headquarters of the Post Office in Pretoria. We also have the Government Printing Works, which is a long history of manufacturing security printed matter, such as passports and visas, and related publishing, production and dissemination service of the highest quality of the government service today. It ranks as one of the most progressive security printing specialists in Africa, boasting a high-tech production plant with world-leading equipment. On the right-hand side, we have Bosman Taxi Rank, which is a central site which forms a triangle next to the railway lines. Most of our indigenous people use a taxi as their local transport, and there are frequent connections between all the suburbs, the railway stations, bus stations, businesses, and suburbs within Pretoria. This is because we had a little bit of breakdown in our national transport system, and hence taxis have become the most used form of transport by most of our people that live within the rural areas of Pretoria. We also have well-known McDonald's in Skinner Street, which I'm sure you are now all familiar with, which is now known as the Nana Sita Street. Nana Sita originated from India. He arrived in South Africa in 1913 and went to preside in Pretoria. Later, he became the Transvaal Indian Congress Pretoria branch secretary, while also being intimately involved in the Indian passive resistance movement. We also have France Bart Street, and she was a domestic servant that served almost 15 years as a teacher, then became militant as a result of her experiences of oppression and exploitation in South Africa. She was a trade unionist and a women's leader from the late 1940s to the 1980s. Together with Florence Matomela, the two women formed the ANC Women's League, which still is in existence today. As I mentioned before, Pretoria is affectionately known as the Jacaranda City, and the jacaranda trees are native to South America and first came to Pretoria in 1988. A traveling nurseryman called Templeman sold 2 jacaranda seedlings to Jacob Daniel, also known as Japie Silheers, who resided at Myrtle Lodge in Sunnyside. In 1939, these trees were fenced in a protective measure. A plaque also placed at the site to commemorate the event. It is said that many of these jacaranda trees in the city originated from these so-called parent trees. We now have Pretoria Street, which has also been named after W.D. Pretorius, who was the owner of large properties in the area. His house, known as the W.D. Pretoria House, still stands on the corner of Church Street, which is now Walter Sisulu, and Jeugd Street. Susanna Street, also in the area, was named after his wife. Ahead of us, as you can see the steeple in the distance, is the Dutch Reformed Church, also known as the Nederduitse Gereformeerde Kerk, abbreviated NG Kerk. This is a Reformed Christian denomination in South Africa. There are 10 synods whose borders roughly resemble those of the provinces of South Africa plus Namibia. Every 4 years, the 10 synods come together and meet as the General Synod. The office of the General Synod is in Pretoria. Ahead of Shuburg Park, which was a South African state-sponsored mass housing project initiated by the nationalist government from 1948 to 1944, as well as the City Council of Pretoria, in the zeitgeist of post-war housing solutions. Today, the once vibrant apartment block lies dormant, with not much indication as to when the buildings will reopen again, despite more than a decade of planned refurbishments. We are now turning into Church Street, which has been renamed to 4 different streets and is the longest urban street in South Africa. It is 26 kilometers long and is also known as one of the longest straight streets in the world. Ahead is Kruger House, which we will visit for 45 minutes shortly. Just to give you a little bit of brief about Kruger House before we stop, let me tell you that this is the historical Pretoria residence of the Boer leader and President of the South African Republic, Paul Kruger himself. It was built in 1884 by the architect Com Claridge and builder Chance Clark. They were British, strangely enough. Milk was used instead of water for mixing the cement from which the house was constructed, as the cement available at that time was very poor quality. The house was also one of the first in Pretoria to be lit by electricity. The house contains the original furnishings or items from the same historical period, some of the many gifts that were presented to Kruger, as well as other memorabilia. Another interesting feature of the house is 2 stone lions on the veranda that were presented to President Kruger as a birthday gift on the 10th of October 1896 by the mining magnate Barney Bonato. He was also one of the famous Jewish guys that actually spearheaded the economic reform for South Africa. Kruger House is now a house museum that tries to recreate the ambience period of when Kruger lived in it. The Kruger Museum and its contents bears witness to the forceful personality of a man who lived there as a leader of the small republic in Southern Africa at a stormy and unsettling time of his people's long struggle against British imperialism. The Ditsong Museum Complex, which is where the Kruger House is part of, is an amalgamation of 8 national museums, 7 in Tshwane and 1 in Johannesburg. The Ditsong museums have diverse collections covering the fields of fauna and flora, military history, cultural history, geology, anthropology, and archaeology. What more could we ask for? We have now obviously come to a stop outside the Kruger House Museum, and I would just like to give you some rules and regulations pertaining to what we need to do to ensure transition and a smooth and enjoyable site visit to the museum. So as you disembark from the coach, please keep the following guidelines in mind to ensure a respectful and enjoyable visit. Meet as a group at the entrance in front of the museum so that I can issue each guest with their entrance ticket. And as I said before, we'll meet back at this point at 10:45. Take your personal belongings with you, but any other items can be left on the coach and they will be safe, as Stephen has no intention of leaving the coach. This is an official government building, so please, to protect the museum's atmosphere, photography inside the building is strictly prohibited. No eating inside the museum, but feel free to purchase a snack or drink at the refreshment cafe after your visit. Enjoy the visit, and I look forward to answering any questions afterwards. And remember to capture your visit through your eyes and not through your cameras. Well, welcome back, everybody. I truly hope that you found the museum a place of reflection and learning. Are there any questions? Well, that seems to have been a successful tour, and I sincerely really hope that you enjoyed it as much as we are proud enough to present our history to you. We will now make our way to the Rovos Rail. And before we commence, I'd just like to let you know that on the left-hand side, we have the South African Mint, which is responsible for the minting of all coins of the South African Rand on behalf of its owner, the South African Reserve Bank. Located in Centurion, Gauteng, near South Africa's administration capital, Pretoria, the Mint manufactures coins and planchets for both domestic and international markets. We also have the Poyntons building, which is home to many private businesses and government offices, including the South African Air Force. The 33-tall Poyntons building is a modern high-rise building standing at least 110 meters and is the 7th tallest building in Pretoria. It houses a number of governmental departments in defense and correctional services. The Blue Room Central is also a landmark of an upmarket restaurant club with 5 bars, 3 dance floors, offering fantastic food at very affordable prices. Live music, rooftop setting, and wheelchair accessibility are key features of this very popular venue with an impressive cocktail selection. Ahead of us lies Church Square, originally known as Market Square. The square became known as Church Square due to a succession of 3 churches that stood at the center of the square. The founder of Pretoria, Martinus Pretorius, determined that the square be used as a marketplace and a churchyard. The square's most prominent feature since 1954 is the statue of the late Boer leader and President of South Africa, Paul Kruger, at its center. Statue of 4 other anonymous Boer citizen soldiers surround that of Kruger on a lower level of the plinth. A number of landmark buildings surround the square, and the most famous being the turreted Palace of Justice. This was the scene of arguably the most famous political trial in South Africa's history, the Rivonia trial. This is where, during this trial, Nelson Mandela and a number of other ANC members were charged with treason, found guilty, and subsequently incarcerated. Before we stop at our photo opportunity, I'd like you to provide you with a few guidelines to ensure that we have a smooth and enjoyable experience. We will have a limited amount of time, so always know that I'll let you have 5 minutes before we wrap up. Be aware of your surroundings, especially if we are near traffic or natural hazards, and stay within designated areas and follow any posted signs or instructions. Please do not disturb the natural surroundings or historical features and leave no trace. Dispose of any trash properly or bring it back with you. If you'd like a group photo, please feel free to ask me. I'd love to capture this great memory for you. And if you have any other questions or need assistance, please feel free to ask. We have now arrived at Rovos Rail, which brings us to the end of our city tour of Pretoria. I'm sure you'll agree that the city has a charm all of its own, with a wide array of different stories on our history, who contributed and who did what. But I'd like to now thank you for joining me today. I've truly enjoyed spending the time with you and can only hope that you will come back to rediscover a number of other sites in Pretoria that can offer you very interesting and historical review on our country. A big thank you to you, Stephen, for driving us safely. And from both of us, we wish you a very enjoyable and safe onward journey. I am sure you're going to have a great time on Rovos Rail, not to mention experiencing the giant Kruger National Park with our famous 5 animals that will bring you lots of pleasure. Please remember to take all your personal belongings with you and hope that you always hold your memories of your time in South Africa close to your heart. We have truly enjoyed welcoming you to our wonderful city, Pretoria, as well as our wonderful country, South Africa. Enjoy your onward journey.